Hi, folks, and welcome to the Mike Lopez TV Show. I'm your host, ACMike. We'll bring you all things Atlantic City, sports, dining, entertainment, and so much more. Our first guest tonight is Daniel Gallagher, Director of Sports Sales at the Atlantic City Sports Commission. Next up, we'll have Butch Buchanico, Sportsbook Director at Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, Atlantic City. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Our next guest is Dan Gallagher, Director of Sports Sales at Atlantic City Sports Commission. Dan, welcome to the show.
Mike, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Listen, bro, we appreciate you here anytime, whether it's on the radio show, here on the TV show. It's just full of information and what we like, sports and whatnot.
Got that right.
As we go along. So, Dan, listen, before we get to some of the events that the Atlantic City Sports Commission presents to our viewers and those in the region, tell us about you a little bit. How did you get into this world of sports and marketing and whatnot?
Well, Mike, I really cut my teeth here in Atlantic City at the Chelsea Hotel. And I was a server, and then I was a bartender, and then I was a supervisor. And I was just enthralled by what Atlantic City had to offer and the amenities that it had. And then when the conventions were coming in on the quiet season, the sporting events, I said, this city has a lot to offer. And I was graduating Villanova at the time, and my degree was in public relations. And I was getting ready to take my LSATs to go to law school because I wanted to be like a sports attorney, to show me the money. Right. And I was graduating Villanova at the time, and I took my LSATs, and I applied to all the law schools when I got in, and I realized how expensive law school was. So I said I had to change direction. So I actually became the sales director for the Chelsea Hotel. And when the ACCVA privatized in 2014 and became Meet AC, I joined them as their sales manager. And then in 2015, we created the Atlantic City Sports Commission. It was the first inaugural year, and kind of has been gangbusters since. We started off, that was our smallest market segment in Atlantic City, and I'm proud to say to this day it is our largest sports segment in Atlantic City, largest market segment in Atlantic City.
And it's amazing, and we'll talk more about as we do this interview, get into the meat and potatoes of it. Chelsea, being a resident at the Ocean Club, I'll give that out. Get to see what you did there for many years. It was a lot of fun. I used to be able to sneak over there and whatnot. Great property. But again, what you said, and being millennial, right? I mean, you're at that age, and you know, this is one thing that we try to pride ourselves on in Atlantic City. You know, we love our casinos. We love the gaming and the restaurants and the food. But we have such a unique place, whether it's the boardwalk, the beach, boardwalk hall, whatnot. Touch on that, the amenities that we have there, and to take advantage of those.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's not a destination in the world, in my opinion, that resembles Atlantic City. It kind of has a little taste of everything that you would want when you go to a destination. We have our world-class beaches, free beaches, which is incredible. If you're from New Jersey, you know that you usually have to pay to get on the beach. The oldest boardwalk in the country, our 9 casinos, which hosts more sleeping rooms than Baltimore and Philadelphia. It's over 17,000 sleeping rooms. So it lends us to be able to go after large national convention sporting events because we have the meeting room inventory and sleeping room inventory to be able to host those events. And then you have your dining. And I will never forget, I was with a client one time, and he spoke a little bit of broken English. We had a long site visit. And at the end, he goes, Dan, do you have any good restaurants here in Atlantic City? And I remember being a little tired after it all. I said, how about this? You name a chef, and I'll tell you if they have a restaurant. And he named Gordon Ramsay. I was like, he has 2. Wolfgang Puck, Michael Simon. And Guy Fieri, he's also got 2. And I was surprised. I surprised myself how many incredible dining options we have in Atlantic City. Everything from your mom and pops up to your big chains. And you know, you look around, and we were talking about it before the show. It's easy to take for granted because you live in it. And I always say you got to see it to believe it. So when we have our clients come down and we show them just a taste of Atlantic City, there's a good opportunity and good chance that they'll be back and hosting their event.
And that's probably makes the sale a little bit easier, like you were saying, touching on. Listen, we had one of our previous shows, we were touching on Restaurant Week and whatnot. And so much to what you say is the truth, whether it's the big restaurants and the casinos and whatnot, the Gordon Ramsays and whatnot, or the Chef Volas or the 2825s, or our Vietnamese or Latino Filipino restaurants. We have it all here. So, and that'll be another show, folks. We're going to make sure we bring him back and we talk about some food. So, again, with some of the events, I know we're going to get into them. Some of the unique events is what I want to pop on to too, and I call unique. You know, I'm riding down the boardwalk one day, and I'm like looking over to my right towards the pier, Caesar's Pier out there, and I see pole vaulting going on. So talk to us about some of them. I mean, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I know you know what you're talking about. It's not the norm, and we talked about it a little bit at the pre-interview. The 4 majors or 5 major sports. What do we got?
You know what? You brought up such a good sport, and it's a sport that's not mentioned a lot because it doesn't have a big impact. It's only 3 pole vaulting pits on the beach. However, it attracts 2,000 spectators to watch these people literally pole vault on the beach. And with some of these clients, you know, we talk about dating them because they're in other destinations, and other destinations have great amenities too. They were in Seaside Heights, and I literally dated Mike Piscuzzo until I finally got him to come to Atlantic City and move the event here. But when we first created the Sports Commission, kind of what you alluded to, there was only 5 major sports that we thought about. And then as you travel and go to different conventions in different cities, you learn about USA juggling, and before cornhole was a thing, and now as pickleball is exploding. And you realize that the 5 major sports are truly just the tip of the iceberg. And I think with what Atlantic City has to offer, we don't have that large sports complex that a lot of these major cities do. So we have to be creative and use our innate topography and landscape to be successful in hosting some of these major sporting events. So we utilize our boardwalks, we utilize our beaches or Bader Field because we don't have that infrastructure that a lot of major cities have. So we're creative, and it's been wildly successful in doing so.
Evan, you speak on that, the Boardwalk Hall, as you speak. I think it's always ranked up in as far as mid-size, whether it's concerts or whatnot. Am I right in saying that?
You are 100% right.
Yeah.
It's also the largest proscenium theater in the country, which is super cool, and hosts the world's largest instrument as well.
Yes.
Which not a lot of people know that. But my mom being a musician, I remember she asked if we could do the tour one time, and those pipes are anywhere between 6 to 8 feet and the size of your pinky nail. So
Yeah,
it's incredible.
It is incredible, and you just gave me another idea to have a guest on for the show, so I appreciate that.
Sure.
So listen, I want to touch on some of this. We have a list of events that we have here, and just to let the folks know, we don't want to date ourselves of what's something that's passed and whatnot, but you just spoke about pickleball. I was out there about a month or so ago, the convention center. First of all, tell us what pickleball is, the Reader's Digest version, and then what you got going on out there.
Yeah, so pickleball is the largest and fastest growing sport in the country, physical sport. Esports is the largest virtual sport growing in the country. And we were approached by a gentleman by the name of Jim Ludwig who said, we want to bring this event to Atlantic City, and we want to host the largest indoor pickleball tournament in the country. I've never heard of it. I'd never played it before in my life, so I had to do some of my own research. Right. And it started in Seattle, and this gentleman had a dog, and his dog's name was Pickle, and he had a ball that was all chewed up and everything,
really?
and they couldn't find it. They said, "Where's Pickle's ball?" And that's kind of where it came from. But it's a sport that's kind of equivalent to tennis and badminton and ping pong all mixed into one, and it really bridges the gap between ages and genders. There's a mixed doubles, there's a mixed gender. And we were fortunate enough to host the largest indoor pickleball tournament in the country with 41 courts and 1 showcase court that was live on CBS Sports. And to be able to hold to take your cap off and say that you hosted that is incredible. And we only think that event will grow year over year over year. In our first inaugural year, we did 800 players, wow. And that's nothing to shake a stick at. So
no, it's not, and it's bringing these players out here, but it's also new eyes and feet to Atlantic City, whether it's their family, and we love it. Listen, I had a great time. I didn't know what the hell it was, but now I'm a fan of it, and I think it's going to be a great addition to what we do here, the more common type things. We got Jimmy Johnson here. Listen, I got an invite from you and Joe Lupo a couple of years ago, the inaugural, I believe it was, and got to meet him, got to see what you guys and gals do out there. It was an amazing tournament, just watching the folks and the amount of people and the luxury boats, fishing boats. Talk to us. It just passed recently. Talk to us about that, because when you talk Jimmy Johnson, Dallas fan or no Dallas fan, because we think that you're talking world-renowned type talent right there.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about a perfect demographic for Atlantic City. These boats are not cheap. They are expensive. You have star celebrities like Michael Jordan fishing in the tournament. That you couldn't ask for a demographic. These people come. They like to spend money. They like to eat. And we were a little concerned, being transparent about this year coming out of COVID, because gas prices were so high. Just to provide some contextual background, just to go out and back to the canyon cost around $7,500 in fuel. But these people are committed to Atlantic City. They had incredible fishing last year. We had even better fishing this year with 2 big blue marlins that came in, one that Michael Jordan caught. And you look around, and I've never seen the marina more packed. And you see people that are coming home from work, and they're going to the marina just to watch the fish that get weighed in. Because these aren't fish that you catch in out here, 20 miles off. You have to go 80 miles off, 120 miles off to catch these fish. And it's a commitment. And these captains of these boats and these boat owners make the commitment to come up to Atlantic City from Florida, from North Carolina, from South Carolina, to be here in Atlantic City. And every year we just want to keep building on that. And as a Cowboys fan, to have Jimmy Johnson name behind this event, when he comes in, he makes sure to spend time with everyone. It's a very, very special event, and probably one of my personal favorites.
Class personified right there when you say that. Now, we only got about 3 minutes left, believe it or not. I want to touch on some more, and you just get your Reader's Digest. You touch on what you want.
Yeah,
Please.
sure. So the U.S. 9-Ball Open Championship just passed. The best 256 billiards players in the country here in Atlantic City, from any country you can imagine, are coming into Atlantic City to show their skill on the billiards table. An incredible event, and they will be back next year as well. We have our MAC tournament that takes place in March. We need to have a D1 tournament in Atlantic City. We used to have one before. We're very happy to have the MAC tournament here. This will be their 3rd year, and to have it for the first year, they were able to have fans and spectators in the arena was special. To get to have those players play in front of them, because in 2020 we had COVID, and 2021 spectators weren't allowed. So very happy that that'll be back. We have our annual Ironman 70.3. 3,000 athletes. It sells out in weeks. Great event. Steve Del Monte, shout out to him, an incredible race director. I think every city is envious that we have Steve Del Monte in our backyard, and just an incredible all-around event producer. And then we have a lot of other events. We have our volleyball, our basketball, our futsal. These are all 400 team events that bring more than 5,000 room nights per event to our destination. So when you ask about what the Atlantic City Sports Commission does, it's about driving economic impact to our region, having those families and athletes come, stay in our hotels, eat the food, drink the drink, and go from there.
And I love it when you just added that, because like you said, that's the incredible thing when you see whether it's cheerleaders or the wrestling tournament. I know, being a former high school wrestler, and we used to go to Princeton. Okay. Now that it's here, I guess in the mid-'90s, it moved over to Boardwalk Hall. You got 3 nights of 10 to 12,000 folks in there, and they're just here enjoying themselves, and I love it that it's at the hall. Talk to us about that real quick. I mean, what type of impact do you see when they come into town? You
said that perfectly, right? So each sporting event has a different multiplier that comes with it. So like women's volleyball actually has the highest multiplier, because if Susie's playing, grandma, grandpa, brother, sister are coming. Wrestling actually has a smaller multiplier, but they stay in Atlantic City for a while. Their spectators are the best in any sporting event, really. To your point, they fill that arena 3 nights in a row. I will tell you, the saddest place in Atlantic City is behind where they load in, because after the kids lose the match, they go there, they take off their headgear, and they're upset. And I was a wrestler myself, so I've been there. I know it. But I'm confident. I look at those kids and I see they're freshmen or sophomores, and I make sure when I'm looking at the program for next year that they're there. I kind of watch them, and to watch them grow and mature, it's something very special.
They'll be back, and I get it too. So listen, we're out of time. We're going to have you back for sure, Dan. Folks, make sure you follow this man and follow the Atlantic City Sports Commission, what they're doing. It's a great time of the year. All year when we have sports, 365 in Atlantic City. We're not like most beach towns. We don't close down.
Good point.
Right?
Absolutely.
Dan, thank you, sir.
Mike, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Folks, stay right where you're at. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Our next guest is Butch Buchanico, Sports Director at Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, Atlantic City. Butch, welcome to the show.
Mike, my pleasure, buddy.
Listen, man, a long time coming here. This guy's got it going on when it comes to sports. Back in the day with the Eagles, we're going to talk about Pop a little bit and whatnot, and what you're doing there, of course, at Hard Rock. Butch, tell us about you a little bit, please.
Yeah, I spent 28 years on the Philadelphia Police Department. I decided it was time to move on and come down here and retire a little bit. Well, my retirement brought me to the managing the sportsbook business. I opened up the sportsbook at Ocean. When Hard Rock got theirs, I moved over to there. And it's been an interesting ride, but when you have a job that you enjoy, they say it's really not a job. And right now, I'm enjoying life. I mean, I get to talk to a lot of different people and look at sports all day long.
I see it by the smile on your face, and that's when we got to meet at Ocean Casino Resort. God bless Bruce Dyfek, who was a very good friend of mine and of yours. And you know what they did there with that sports book, and then it was kind of a new thing to us then. You know, it was like, you know, something that we should have had 30 years ago, but now here it is. It's coming big and bad, and you know, just tell us about how that was the infant stages of it in Atlantic City.
Yeah, well, the funny thing was, I was my brother-in-law who lives in the area. He sent me one night. I was sitting in the squad room, and he sent me one night an email that basically said there was an opening for a sportsbook manager in Atlantic City. It hadn't started yet. This was in I want to say May. Actually, it was May 31st. And I looked at I says, I don't have these. He says, just send it in anyway. So that was May 31st. I sent it in. June 19th, I was hired to work at Ocean, and the rest is history. And now here I'm down here, and the infant stages. It was an exciting time behind the scenes. A lot of hard work was put into all these sports books in Atlantic City. A lot of planning. It was a thing that had to be done quickly. A lot of casinos, as you know, casino floor space is at a premium in all the casinos in Atlantic City. So it was where they were going to put it, how big they were going to do it, because it was new. And New Jersey, everybody always says, oh, it's never going to be Vegas. Well, we're not trying to be Vegas. We're trying to be New Jersey. Right. And it didn't take long for New Jersey's sportsbook industry to pass Vegas, and that's where we're at now.
I love how you say that too, because I say that quite a bit. Well, we're not this. That was built to be what it was, and it was set there in that position in Nevada and Las Vegas. But what we do is a little different out here. And to your point with the sports book, now we talked about it quite a bit on the radio show. The folks out there know that we do a radio show. Tell people a little bit before we get into getting to know, when it comes to placing a bet, could get a little intimidating at times. Tell us how easy it is and the intricacies of it.
Yeah, I mean, when you walk up to a sports book, whether you're a sports fan or not, it can be intimidating. You see all these monitors with a lot of numbers on it. It kind of looks like the chalkboard of a calculus classroom.
Right.
And, you know, you got big screen TVs, and you got sporting events playing loud, and you look up and you see some imposing figures standing at a window just staring at you. And a lot of people kind of do the about face, but we make it an experience where it's a teaching experience, and we don't want people to be intimidated. We want to teach people. Basically, it's as simple as just walking up, telling the person at the window, the writer or the clerk, what would you like? You know, a lot of people, they'll say their favorite team. Yeah, I just want my favorite team to win. And it's really that simple. Now, for the more experienced person, and as you know more, there's a lot more options, right, you know, and there's a lot more different ways and types. But for the person that's just starting out, or the person, especially this time of the year, that just wants to get involved, it's just as simple as just walking up to the window and just tell them what you want. Really, folks, we don't bite. We enjoy getting to know you. And
you want people to bet with their head, have fun, enjoy the experience, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
You know? So when you talk about that, we got so much going on at this time that we're in right now as we do this interview. You know, football, baseball, hockey, basketball, football, soccer, which we call here in America. How is it there? I mean, you have everything for everyone there?
We have everything for everyone, everything that's live. We make it's kind of my rule that if there's a live event on, especially a live event that's available, that it will be on the screen. But as you said, just to add on to what you said, this is an excellent time of year for a sports fan, because you got all of them going on. It's the only, October and a little bit of November is the only time where you'll have all four major sports, college football and college basketball, all going at the same time. And what we're really excited about, when sports betting first came to New Jersey, it was a World Cup year. This is now a World Cup year. So we're really excited about the World Cup, which will be starting up in November. That'll bring a whole nother class of people. I mean, they come into the sports book proud of their nation. They got all the colors on and they're screaming at the TV. And that's pretty much every Sunday for the NFL. People are screaming at the TV. Half the time I got to run out of the office and look and see what game they're screaming at because it's interesting. But yeah, this time of year, we have something for everyone. And we show golf and tennis and NASCAR. I mean, I have 46 TVs and I just got a brand new LED wall that I could configure the way I want. So we have, at any given time, for instance, on a Saturday, college football, I'll have 18 games going at once.
Right.
That are being played
Love
live. It. So it's we love the people. I love the people.
Listen,
and,
I'm a big pro sports fan, but I have to say I love my college football because you get such a choice. And just watching and then going into your place and checking it out on TVs, do you have one or another that gets more play or whatnot? How is it out here? Or is that something we don't take?
Well, usually, Penn State, Notre Dame, the usual. And then you got little pockets of people from the area, alumni of schools, that will come. Maybe they're spending the weekend in town and they'll show up and they'll want to watch their team on TV and they'll cheer and they may place a little wager on a game and they'll enjoy themselves. And it's fun. But college football is my favorite too, but for the same reason. I mean, on a Saturday afternoon, we could have people inside the sports book area that's from 18, 20 different schools.
Right. And then when we get home too, our ladies will be asleep or whatnot. We can still watch these late games all day long. So I love it. I love college football, always have. I had an opportunity to meet one of my favorite, and we're going off script here, Brian Bosworth, who was over in Atlantic City, Saltwater, a few months ago. There was an event in town, a sports signing, this memorabilia, and just a cool guy. But I was like, this is, Atlantic City is the Mecca. When you say Atlantic City, people from all over the world. We spoke about this briefly. Butch, I want to get into a little bit what Hard Rock, that relationship you have with it, the company, and then also what they're doing. I mean, a couple weeks ago, as we aired this interview, the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, you had some of the greatest walk-around entertainers, Hall & Oates. Some of the stuff, tell us what that experience is for you to work there. Because, again, as a former law enforcement officer myself, this is two totally different worlds in which we're working in now. And what you're doing is incredible. And then with that brand.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the place is always full of energy, whether you're there 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday or 10 o'clock at night on a weekend. There's always something going on. The place is full of energy. Hard Rock is like a family atmosphere for its employees. It takes care of its employees like no other. They've been great to me. They're great to my people, and they kind of let the people, they let the employees, the team members, as we call them, be themselves. There's regulations and rules and stuff like that, obviously, but they let the team members be themselves. They encourage people's imagination, people's ideas, which may be different in some places. So that kind of helps the fact, that goes hand in hand with the energy. Like you said, the events they have there, the entertainment that comes to town is, Hard Rock is doing their best to bring Atlantic City back where it's supposed to be.
And listen, with the brand, and like you said, you mentioned some of the folks, Joe Lupa, who just recently moved on back to Vegas, and Anthony, who's in charge of the house now. It's a team. I mean, anytime I've ever spoke to those gentlemen and yourself as a director, you're always talking about the team. And I love what you do there. Folks want to work there, and I get why. I mean, it's between the events, the restaurants, the sports book, and what goes on in that place. It's incredible. At one time, I remember before Hard Rock and Ocean Casino opened, it was a lonely end down that end. It was quiet. It was not happening. Not a lot happened. Showboat was bought by Bart Bladstein. Steel Pier was there for entertainment in that way, but that was it. And then you guys came into town and Ocean. So I want to say I appreciate it and want to thank you. So we're going to talk a little bit here. We got a few minutes left. I'm going to drop back and I want to talk about a guy I used to see on the Eagles sideline. And I remember watching games in my 20s and 30s and climbing the fence at the vet, and I'd be watching on TV, and I was like, man, who's that guy with that big mustache there? And looks mean, but he's smiling, getting hugged by Buddy, and this one was your dad.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about that history and you have with the Eagles and football and stuff.
Yeah, my father, I followed in his footsteps, 31 years with the Philadelphia Police. He retired as the Mayor M. Rendell at the time. He was his chief of security. And when Jeffrey Lurie bought the team, they were at an event together, and he had mentioned to my father, you know, where could I get somebody like you to watch my investment, to keep an eye on the investment? And my father was ready to retire at the time, and my father said, right here.
Right.
You know, my father's a lifelong Eagles fan. I mean, threw many things at the TV over the years.
Exactly.
And, you know, Jeff Lurie said, I have to get the mayor's blessing. You know, I don't want to take you away. And Ed Rendell at the time was tight with my dad. And he said, no, I give you, you know, do what you got to do. It's going to be a great thing. And then he needed an assistant he could trust. So he asked me. I got permission at the time with the police department. I used my vacation, holiday time and stuff to travel. So basically, he did it for 15 years, but for 13 years, every weekend during the football season, I was traveling with the team. I was fortunate enough to get to be on the field in Jacksonville with my dad for the Super Bowl. It was work, and everybody thought it was a glamorous job, but there was a lot of things behind the scenes that my dad took care of, and we'll just leave it at that. But there was a reason, exactly. There was a reason why the Eagles were always one of the best franchises as far as keeping people out of trouble in the eyes of the NFL, and that was my dad.
Love it. Love it. So listen, folks, we're talking with Butch Buchanico over at Hard Rock. We're going to be having him back on real soon. Butch, we appreciate you coming to the show. Listen, man, go Eagles, go Phillies, go whatever. I don't know. You know how I am. But thank you so much. Let them know. Give them a little goodbye.
Yeah, go to hardrockcasino.com. Go to our social media pages, and you'll get more information, more in detail information of some of the stuff we talked about today. And come say hello to me. I'm there every day, just like Mike does.
There you go, folks. Thanks again to Butch Buchanico, Sportsbook Director at Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, Atlantic City, for being on the show. Stick around. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, it's our belief here at the Mike Lopez TV Show that you, the viewers, and our guests bring the show to life. Thanks to each and every one of you for joining us tonight. To learn more about AC Mike, go to acmikeNJ.com, Facebook, Mike Lopez, LiveWorkPlayAC, AC Mike, and on Instagram at ACMikeNJ. Remember to live, work, play AC. I'll see you on the 48.